Welcome back to Rebook Recaps, A Court of Thorns and Roses. Chapters 21 to 25 recapped. Let us know in the comments what book you would like to hear recapped next. Like, subscribe, and tap the notifications button to support our channel. Chapter 21, The Festival of Fire. Feyre notices a shift in the atmosphere of the spring court as Tamlin and Rhysand begin preparing for an upcoming event. Though neither of them gives her full details, she gathers that it is something important and steeped in Fey tradition. The secrecy only makes her more curious, though she knows better than to push too hard. During dinner, Tamlin tells her to stay in her room that night, warning her not to leave the manor under any circumstances. His tone is unusually firm, making it clear that the event is not meant for human eyes. Feyre, however, has never been one to follow rules easily. Later that evening, she overhears servants whispering about the Calanmai festival, also known as Fire Night. They speak in hushed, excited tones, describing it as a powerful, magical ritual tied to the changing of the seasons. Intrigued and unable to resist, Feyre decides to sneak out to see it for herself. As she makes her way toward the source of the celebration, she sees bonfires blazing in the distance. The air is thick with magic, and the energy around her hums with an otherworldly intensity. Even before she reaches the heart of the festival, she knows she has stepped into something ancient and dangerous. She watches from the shadows as Fae dance wildly around the fires, their movements primal and hypnotic. Music pulses through the air, unlike anything she has ever heard before. Everything about the scene feels both enchanting and unnerving. Before she can turn back, she is approached by a group of Fae males, their eyes gleaming with unsettling interest. They recognize her as human and surround her, speaking in a way that makes her feel like prey. Fear grips her as they move closer, their intentions growing clearer by the second. Before the Fae can act, another voice cuts through the night, smooth and commanding. A tall, dark-haired Fae male appears, effortlessly making the others back away. His presence is powerful, and Feyre instinctively knows he is not someone to be trifled with. The stranger, whom she later learns is named Rhysand, introduces himself with a sly, knowing smile. He makes a few cryptic remarks about her presence at the festival, hinting that he knows far more than he lets on. Though his words are playful, there is an edge of danger beneath them. Before Feyre can respond, Tamlin arrives, his expression thunderous. He yanks her away from Rhysand, his grip firm and possessive. The two Fae males exchange tense words, and though Rhysand eventually leaves, Feyre senses that their encounter was not by chance. As Tamlin takes her back to the manor, he scolds her for disobeying him. He tells her that if she had stayed longer, she would have witnessed the darker, wilder side of Fae nature. Though she regrets the danger, she cannot ignore the strange thrill the night has left in her veins. Chapter 22, A Night of Confessions. Back at the manor, Tamlin remains tense from the night's events. He is frustrated with Feyre for putting herself in danger, but his concern is evident beneath the anger. She, in turn, is still shaken by both the festival and her encounter with Rhysand. Tamlin explains that Calanmai is a ritual where magic chooses a high Fae to take in raw power and ensure the land's prosperity. That power overtakes him, making him act on instinct rather than reason. His voice lowers as he tells her that he spent the night with a Fae woman, as is tradition. Feyre pretends that it does not bother her, though she feels an unfamiliar sting of jealousy. She knows she has no claim over Tamlin, yet the thought of him with someone else unsettles her. A realization starts to take root. She no longer sees him as just her captor. Despite her earlier frustration, Tamlin's mood softens, and the tension shifts into something else. He leans in, brushing his fingers along her skin, as if testing her reaction. Feyre's breath catches, and for a moment, it feels as though the entire world has stilled. The night air is thick with something unspoken between them. Tamlin murmurs that he wanted to find her after the festival, despite the magic's influence. His admission sends a jolt through Feyre, confirming what she had tried to deny. Their closeness is interrupted by Lucien, who steps into the room with an exasperated sigh. He tells Tamlin that they have other things to worry about, though his smirk suggests he finds the situation amusing. Feyre flushes, suddenly aware of how quickly things escalated. Later that night, she lies awake, replaying everything that happened. Her thoughts linger on the way Tamlin had looked at her, the way he had touched her. The feeling unsettles her, but she does not push it away. She also finds herself thinking of Rhysand, his piercing gaze and knowing smile. There had been something about him, something that both intrigued and unnerved her. She wonders if she will ever see him again. Sleep does not come easily, her mind torn between conflicting emotions. She had spent so long hating the Fae, but now things are no longer so black and white. For the first time, she questions if she truly wants to leave Prythian at all. As she finally drifts off, she wonders what would happen if she allowed herself to feel something more for Tamlin. The thought both excites and terrifies her, and she has no idea what it might mean for the future. Chapter 23. The Danger of Fae Promises. The next morning, Feyre tries to go about her day as if nothing has changed. She paints in the garden, focusing on the colours rather than her emotions. Yet, no matter how hard she tries, thoughts of Tamlin linger in her mind. Tamlin seems different too, more attentive, more present. He watches her closely, as if waiting for her to say something. When their eyes meet, there is an unspoken understanding between them. Lucien, ever the observer, picks up on the change in their dynamic. He teases Feyre about it, though there is no real malice in his words. Feyre rolls her eyes but does not deny anything. Despite the newfound warmth between her and Tamlin, a lingering tension remains. Strange things have been happening in Prythian, and Tamlin is more on edge than before. Though he tries to hide it, Feyre knows something is coming. Over dinner he tells her that she must be more careful. The blight affecting the Fey lands is spreading, and unknown forces are watching them. Feyre does not fully understand, but she can tell that Tamlin is genuinely worried. She presses him for more information, but he remains cryptic. He only tells her that if anything happens, she must not make any bargains with Fae. The warning sends a chill through her, though she does not yet grasp its full significance. Feyre does not know why, but she feels as if something is coming for her. The feeling of being watched has not disappeared since Fire Night, and she cannot shake the memory of Rhysand's gaze, as if he had seen straight through her. That night, she hears something outside her window. She rushes to look, but the darkness reveals nothing. Still, her instincts scream that something, or someone, is there. She forces herself to lie down, convincing herself it is just paranoia. Yet, deep down, she knows better. Something is waiting in the shadows, and soon it will reveal itself. As she closes her eyes, one thought lingers in her mind. She is running out of time. Chapter 24. Shadows in the Garden. The unease Feyre felt the night before lingers into the next day. As she walks through the Spring Court's gardens, the air feels heavier, charged with something unseen. Though the sun is bright, she cannot shake the sensation that something is lurking just beyond her sight. Tamlin finds her sitting near a fountain, lost in thought. He tries to distract her with light conversation, but she can tell he is also tense. Though he does not say it outright, she knows he senses the same growing danger that she does. Their conversation is interrupted when Lucien arrives, looking unusually serious. He warns Tamlin that something has been spotted on the estate's borders. Though he does not specify what, the tension in his voice is enough to make Feyre nervous. Tamlin immediately tells Feyre to return to the manor, but she refuses. She argues that if there is danger, she should know about it, rather than be left in the dark. Though he is clearly frustrated, he does not press her further. but his jaw tightens in irritation. That night, Feyre is unable to sleep. The manor feels eerily quiet, as if the entire court is holding its breath. Every creak of the floorboards, every whisper of wind outside sends her nerves on edge. As she paces near her window, movement in the garden below catches her eye. At first, she thinks it is just the wind shifting the hedges, but then she sees it. A figure, watching her from the shadows. Her breath catches, and before she can react, the figure disappears. She considers telling Tamlin, but something holds her back. If she is being watched, would acknowledging it make things worse? Instead, she decides to wait and see if it happens again, though her instincts tell her this is only the beginning. The next morning, she finds Tamlin sharpening his weapons, his expression unreadable. He tells her that there are things she does not understand about Prythian, things he is trying to protect her from. Though she wants to believe him, she is beginning to wonder if he is keeping her in the dark for his own reasons. When she asks about Rhysand, Tamlin stiffens. He warns her not to speak of him, calling him dangerous and untrustworthy. Though she does not argue, she cannot forget the way Rhysand had looked at her, as if he knew something she didn't. As the day wears on, the feeling of being watched does not fade. If anything, it grows stronger. Deep down, Feyre knows that something or someone is waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. Chapter 25. A Warning in the Night. That evening, Feyre sits in her room, pretending to read while her mind races. The presence in the garden the night before still lingers in her thoughts. No matter how much she tries to push it away, she knows she cannot ignore it. Just as she is about to lie down, a sharp knock sounds at her door. When she opens it, she is surprised to find Lucien standing there, his usual sarcasm absent. He tells her in a low voice that Tamlin has been keeping things from her. Confused, Feyre asks what he means, but Lucien hesitates. He finally admits that Tamlin is trying to protect her, but hiding the truth will not keep her safe. Before he can say more, he tenses, his sharp senses picking up on something outside. Without warning, a dark shadow moves past the window, and the temperature in the room drops. A moment later, an unseen force presses against the manor, as if something is testing the boundaries of its magic. Lucien curses under his breath and tells Feyre to stay quiet. The magic holding the estate trembles for just a second before the presence fades. Silence falls again, but the weight of what just happened lingers. Though neither of them speaks for a long moment, Feyre can feel Lucien's unease. Finally, he tells her that someone is looking for her, though he does not know why. He warns her that if she ever encounters Rhysand again, she must be careful what she says. Feyre realizes that whatever happened on Fire Night was not just a chance encounter. Before leaving, Lucien gives her a final warning. If anything strange happens, she must tell Tamlin immediately. Feyre nods, but she cannot ignore the sinking feeling in her stomach. That night she lies awake, staring at the ceiling. The sense of security she once felt at the spring court is starting to crack. She wonders if she has truly been safe here, or if she has only been shielded from a truth she is not yet ready to face. A single thought keeps returning to her. What if she is part of something much bigger than she ever realized? And what if, no matter what Tamlin does to protect her, it is already too late? As sleep finally claims her, the last thing she sees in her mind is a pair of violet eyes watching her from the darkness. Like, subscribe and tap the notification bell. See you next story.